What do you feel you've learned over the last 20 years about having a vision and actualizing a vision that you could share with this audience? Because I feel like you're the man that's kind of stayed in the arena the longest time to actualize his that I've known.
I just think if you believe in yourself enough and like you want something bad enough, no matter what obstacles come in your way, you just graft. You put your head down and graft. And no matter how many negative things come in and people, or naysayers and people say you can't do it, just put that aside. And whatever you think here, you can put to fruition. And that, I am, like you say, a true testament of that, because I had this vision. Like I said, I started training just 21 years ago, which is mad. But when over 10 years ago, when I saw the first Olympian, I saw men's physique come out, there was just something clicked. I was like, I want to be the best in the world. I want to be that guy who picks that. And the odds at that time were just second to none. I was UK. There was no Europeans on stage. I wasn't even competing at that stage. I'd not even dieted for a bodybuilding show or anything. But I knew that's what I wanted to do, and there was nothing going to stop me. And it wasn't like a cocky confident. I'm not that type of person, which a lot of people say you have to be. You have to be like owning the room and whatnot. I don't know. I'm not like that. I just keep putting my head down and just keep going through it. And I have negative days like everybody does, but I still won't veer off what my goal is. And I know these small steps, turning up every day in the gym, training, hitting my meals every day, that eventually I'll still get to where I want to get.
So you knew from the early days that it was those compounded growth 1% moves that if you made them every day, they take care of the end result at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you look at a lot of feedback from me was you're not big enough. You're never going to win the Olympia if you don't have an off season. Have a year out, put mass growth on them, all this kind of stuff. But it wasn't me, and it took the enjoyment out of it. So I stayed in my lane. I never rushed the process. And people getting so big overnight, and they're all like, "Yeah, Ryan's not 3D enough." You look at the likes of Brandon now, Erin's coming through, all these guys with big muscle mass. But I was like, but that's not me. I need to play to my strengths, which is condition and aesthetics, and just grow gradually, and my time will come as long as I still believe it and still keep hitting my targets, which I was doing, just in the background.
When I watched you win the Olympia, what I saw was the reaction of everyone else around you that had lost wasn't the same as what I'd seen previously in other shows, because people were widely saying it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. You had Phil Heath there. He was celebrating you. You know, I know Kai Green was happy about you winning. I was happy about it. Like everyone was. I couldn't imagine anyone saying anything negative about you over the years, because you've always been kind to me and you've always been kind to everyone I've known. But it's like you know, it was just different. Like you've always carried yourself with a level of respect that not many people can carry for over the years. So what have you seen that do to your life by operating in your integrity?
Yeah, I've got to admit that. So even the head judge, we spoke at the gala after, and his wife, so Steve Weinberg and his wife, they actually said in all the years they've never seen competitors go for the winner like they did when I won and stuff, and how elated everybody was. And he said we'd even spoke to previous winners like Brandon Hendrickson, Erin Banks, who have this character of being
braggadocious,
and a bit like annoyed with the world. Whoever's beat him, there's a reason why. Like, whereas they even said, "Look, we got beat by a great guy," and all this kind of stuff. And I was really taken back by that. And I'm glad everyone came around me on stage, because my legs were about to go. I could not believe it. I've nearly passed out on stage, and I was bealing my eyes out. So it was nice for them to just kind of click me back into it and compose myself.
There was a part there where you flexed your back, and then they brought you across, and you did it. And you did it again, and you flexed it again, and you pulled it up. And I'd never seen so much detail in your back as you had that day. At that point in the show, when you flexed that back and you'd been moved places, did you kind of think in your mind, I'm on here for something?
So I'm going to tell you something. So you know that back pose? So when I landed in New York, we were about 3.5 weeks out. Sadiq Hadzovic, a very good friend of mine, he and Steve both looked at my back pose and they ripped it apart. They showed me how I needed to hit this back, and it was really hard. Like, to hit that back shot, because I'd never hit it like that. I know how to hit a bodybuilding back double bicep, a lat spread, but the way we tried to showcase it was hard. And basically they set me a task that you had to hit that 30 times every day without getting it wrong. So we filmed it. At the moment you got it wrong, you had to start the count again. every morning at 4 o'clock, I hit that 30 times, holding it for 30 seconds, which is, I challenge anybody to do that. It is absolutely horrendous. So 30 seconds hold, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds hold, and you've got to do it 30 times. And I knew if I did that, put all the work in beforehand, that when I step on stage, it'll become second nature and I'll hit that shot. And it was just the best feeling ever, because in previous years, when I turned to the back, I won't say I've got dread, but I always knew here's a chance where I might be out, I might be dropping places here. But when I turned, I couldn't wait to turn around. Like the confidence I had, which was unbelievable really, because I'm not naturally a confident person, but I couldn't wait to get to the back and showcase it, because I hadn't showed it off.
Because you knew.
Wait, yeah, and I knew that I was going to be up there and against them. And everyone said Erin Banks, and he has got one of the most unbelievable backs. They always said he's unbeatable from the back. And then when I read the feedback and I read all the comments and all the said I beat him from the back, I was like, mission complete. I've done what I set out to do.
Well, because I didn't know a lot about the bodybuilding stuff, I'd watched one of your previous ones where you had got down placed on your back. And when I watched that show and I saw you place up, instantly in my mind, I was like, that's different this time than what's gone before now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It was funny as well, because if you look back on the footage, you're right. So when I hit the back and I still stayed in the middle, and I was like, we're on here. Like, and as we turned back and I was still hitting the asses to hit the front shot, I was like, we've got this now. And then this thing as well, when I look back at the footage, I'm getting shivers actually, because I'm actually reliving it. And I was like, I don't even remember doing it, but I'm like, come on, shouting. That's not me as a person. I would never try and bull a crowd up like that. But the pure adrenaline, just the 10 attempts before, or the 10 years of competing before, and like I say, the 9 or the 8 attempts competing before, you just kind of like, it's my time now. We're going to graft and we're fighting for this. No one's taking me out of this box now.
I think you're one of these people as well, that you weren't someone that just wanted to keep winning it, defending it. I think your ultimate dream's always been to like win a show, cement your legacy in that show, and then move on to the next.
Yes, yeah.
When you look back on your career now, knowing that you're now currently Mr. Olympia physique, like you must realize it was all for a reason, rather than serendipitous. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So every show, if you look back on my career, every show was a stepping stone, obviously, for the Olympia. Every injury I've had, everything was always to get this title. But it was very meticulously planned out. So I never wanted to do the same show twice. I always wanted to win. You've got like layers of
prestige.
Yeah, prestige. That's the word. And so I've worked my way up and ticked them all off. And the only one I missed was New York, other than the Olympia, because Pittsburgh is of the same prestige. And I'd won Pittsburgh, so I kind of like bypassed it. So that was a bit of a niggle, thinking, I'm not the New York champion. I'd love to have that title. So this year, because I thought I was retiring, I thought I've got to tick that off, because if I don't win the Olympia, which would be gutting, I've still ticked off every single thing other than that one show. But now I can look back and say I've completed every single title I ever wanted. And even with the Arnolds, everyone said, yeah, but you've won 3 Arnolds. But I was like, yeah, but they're not at the same place. One was Europe, one was UK, one was America.
Yeah,
there's always something behind it.
So everything to you had a reason.
Yes.
And I think if your career had gone any other way and you'd won the Olympia, then you'd step back down again. I just don't think it would have looked so. It's a very long and beautiful journey of what you've done.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
It's kind of like me with this podcast. Like everything that I'm doing with this podcast is always a bit harder than the average podcaster at my level goes through. It always has been since day one. I have to travel more.
Yeah.
I have to put in more reps. I feel like I get less recognition than everyone else that's at the level.
But it's not stopped you though, is it? It's still going in the right direction.
Yeah, I still push, because I feel like I'm giving this audience something that other people can't give them. So like it lights me up.
Yeah,
and whilst I still do that, I'm going to still strive, because I can see people like you that took 20 years. And I said to myself from the day one that I started this is a 10-year game to me.
Yeah.
And I think by having that attitude, and everyone understanding that listens to this, by having that attitude that, you're in a 5, 10-year, 15-year game of whatever you're in, I think that's what takes you to that level that you can get to.